Welcome to Vegan Business Talk with Katrina Fox, author of Vegan Ventures, Start and Grow an Ethical Business. Hello and welcome to episode 57 of Vegan Business Talk. I'm Katrina Fox, journalist, author, media and PR coach, copywriter, editor and proofreader, and founder of Vegan Business Media, a content, events and training platform providing success tips for vegan business owners and entrepreneurs. In this episode, I interview Stephanie Prather, co-founder of the Vegan Gastronomy Culinary Academy in the Spanish island of Mallorca. Vegan Gastronomy is a vegan cooking school that offers in-person training in the city of Palma with a focus on teaching students to create healthy, delicious, sustainable and economical vegan dishes. Through its global vegan program, it also takes its training on the road to other cities across the globe and has recently partnered with equipment maker Fisher & Paykel to offer classes in New York, Sydney, Australia and more. Stephanie, who lived in Las Vegas for 20 years, has had a varied career, including selling mortgages to seniors, working at an LED lighting company, and teaching children. Food has always been her passion, and in 2013 she started Mallorca Vegan, a guide to the island's best restaurants, eco-farms, workshops and wellness facilities with a plant-based focus. After running short workshops in vegan cooking, she opened Vegan Gastronomy with Manuel Lynch to respond to consumer demand for more comprehensive training. Stephanie writes a weekly vegan column in a mainstream newspaper, the Mallorca Daily Bulletin, covering new recipes, restaurant reviews and healthy food. In this interview, Stephanie talks about why she chose to run in-person trainings rather than online courses, what to take into account when running live trainings in a physical location, the importance of pre-selling courses to ensure you get a minimum number of students to cover your costs and make a profit, the importance of attending events and conferences to keep up to date with the latest information in your industry, particularly if you teach and train others, how to approach potential partners to collaborate with, and the key personal quality you need to muster to make this successful, how she got a column in a major daily newspaper and how this helped her business, and much more. Here's the interview with Stephanie Prather from Vegan Gastronomy. Hello, Stephanie. Thank you very much for joining me today.
Well, thank you for having me, Katrina.
No, it's great to speak with you, especially, speaking to you, and you're in Mallorca, which is pretty cool, a fabulous part of Spain. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. But first of all, I always like to kick off the podcast interviews with finding out what people's drivers are for running their vegan businesses. What's your why? Why do you do what you do?
Well, I love this question. And I've been a foodie my entire life. When I was a child, a little girl, I guess many little girls play with dolls, and I didn't. I played restaurant. So I always liked being around food. I would ditch church and I would go help out in the church kitchen. So and then I worked my way through uni in restaurants, dated chefs, and always loved to cook for friends and family. So food's really been a passion, a thread throughout my life. So I've really changed from being a traditional foodie of all foods, and now I'm a vegan foodie. So the why is that I believe we all have to eat every day. And I think the why is life's too short to eat bad food, tasteless food, and unhealthy food. So the fact that I can put that into my daily life and my daily work, that's been a true blessing, and I'm grateful for that every day.
Wonderful. Now, I was looking when I was doing a bit of research on you. You've got quite an interesting background. You've gone from selling mortgages and then working for an LED lighting firm, and then a shift into educating people, like plant-based education. You run the Mallorca Vegan website, and now the Academy, which I think you're in your third year with now. So tell us a little bit about how did that kind of come about, that transition into what you're doing?
Well, I've always had a drive. I've always loved teaching people. And when I was in the mortgage business, I was teaching people actually how to not outlive their money. So it was, I had a, there was a large
I
financial.
love that phrase. That's funny.
Yes, I work with seniors, and that was their biggest fear, was to outlive their money, and it's something that's on many people's minds. And I love to, when I switched and I worked with children. When I lived in New Zealand for a while, and I taught children in the inner cities how to grow fruits and veg, how to make what they harvested in the garden, bring it into the kitchen. Once again, because we all have to eat every day, and I feel people get much more passion, and even people who don't like to cook get excited and smile when they're pulling food directly from the ground in the garden instead of out of a box. So
Yes.
we then came to Mallorca, and while I love to cook, I don't love to cook every single meal of my life. I enjoy eating out. And so we started Mallorca Vegan, became a company that was really a more tailored guide, not unlike Happy Cow, that pointed people in the direction of healthy restaurants, wellness, also places where the hotels that were open to having healthier foods on their menus. And we made that something that was our focus for quite a while. And then that transitioned ultimately into the academy after I began doing some writing here for the paper.
Fantastic. So why did you choose to do an academy? Because you were running, like you say, you were running Mallorca Vegan, the website.
Right.
What kind of made you? Because there's lots of different ways we can, be in plant-based education, and you've got, an academy where you hold in-person courses there in Mallorca. So tell us why you chose that particularly.
Right. Well, I had actually been working with a woman who had done a vegan bakery. I was working with some folks who own some vegan restaurants. Even yoga studios were asking me to do some education and some one-off, as I call it, workshops. And after the workshops, we found, Katrina, that people wanted more information. They were enjoying the workshops. They liked the 3 or 4 hour sessions, but they wanted more. So then we looked at the idea of actually opening the full-blown academy, and it's really taken off since there. So we looked at it, and of course there are going to be many more challenges than just having the workshops or the brief sessions. But we felt as though there was such a need, and we were right about that.
Fantastic. So you touched on there actually about some of the challenges, and I do like to ask vegan business owners what some of their challenges were and how they overcame them. So what were some of the key challenges when first starting up the academy?
Well, of course, there a need. So we addressed, I think we found out that there was a need, but then we looked at, were we in the right location? And I think because, as you mentioned a few minutes ago, we are in person. We don't do anything online. And we wanted to make sure that this was feasible for people to come here. So you need to look at your demographic. Is your location feasible for the time length of the duration throughout the year that you would like to have students? So being here in the lovely Mediterranean, we do have a fairly mild climate. So it's been, from a geographic perspective, it's been a good choice. We also have a very qualified and capable airport, thankfully, because we are an island. 99.9% of the people come via airplane versus boats. So that's another factor to consider. So think location and ease of getting there, as well as people come to us not only for the vegan education, but people do enjoy traveling. So we have that built-in travel component. Dare I say, one could choose to put in. We wouldn't want to put our vegan academy in Siberia. Not to knock not to knock the lovely parts of the world, but with the climate, with the remoteness, and with just doesn't have that mystique of people liking to go there for potentially for vacationing and holiday making. So.
Yeah, because I was going to ask you about Mallorca. And do you find then, are your customers, your clients, like people who are actually coming and taking a course, are they predominantly based in Europe or close to Europe? Because I'm just wondering, because obviously there's a lot of people in America who, love, want to learn about, vegan cooking and everything. So has that been a disadvantage being in Mallorca in terms of perhaps attracting an American clientele? Or just curious about your demographics, about where people are coming from to do your courses.
At the outset, when we began, most of the people were closer to Spain. We had mostly Italian, Spanish, and a sprinkling of German people. But as we've grown, we've actually expanded, and now we've actually found that not only has it not been a liability, it's actually been an advantage because so many Americans, particularly, do enjoy coming to Europe, and they feel they have a desire, of course, to learn something about vegan or vegetarian food. Oftentimes, it might be a pair, and maybe one person in the pair has a desire to come to our school. The other one wants to come along and really enjoy maybe the nice golfing or the snorkeling and beaches around Mallorca. So it's been something that's helped us, and because there aren't too many other schools like ours. And once again, our nice location, we actually are having people come from truly all over the world. We have people from Asia, from South America, from the US. So it's really from all over now people are coming. And it does vary based upon the time of the year. We see more Americans, for example, in the summer.
Got it.
Our summer, sorry. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, got it. No, that's cool. So in terms of the challenges of running, like, because you've chosen to, obviously there's lots of online, courses, like, teach me, there's but then, you're doing actual in-person courses. So what are some of the logistics and challenges in running those live events and making a profit to be able to run your business?
Right. Well, of course, you have to look at how many students are you teaching at any given time, what your current physical space is. We want to make sure that people really get a tailored training because, of course, with online videos, and there's so many of them, and I watch many of them, and some of them are fantastic. Some of them could use a little bit of polishing, but there's just a wealth of information out there online. But as you can imagine, when you're looking at something online, you can watch it 16 times, but you can't ask questions. So you're not getting a tailored experience. So we like to always build in a little bit of room because we know people have questions. So that's number one. Number two, the difference also between our school and traditional online. If you look at online, it's really geared toward, Katrina, and in my mind, in my perspective, almost 100% on the cooking piece. And while we are a cooking academy, we actually go so much beyond that because we really believe so much of why many of us, have become vegans and started as vegetarians, then transitioned to vegans, is for the nutritional and the health aspect. While it's only a portion of the components for some people, we do bring it into the school. And while we're cooking, whether it be with the actual ingredients themselves and or the final dishes, we do speak a lot about the nutritional components. So with logistics and running those live trainings, we can make some of those we can point out those things. We can once again go into a little bit more detail if people have deeper questions, or if people have more experience in that area, we can kind of gloss over them.
Sure. I guess that, in terms of the challenges, I'm thinking in terms of obviously running an in-person academy, there's going to be things like higher overheads involved because you've actually got that live venue.
Without a doubt. So we do have those fixed costs of the day-to-day operation of the brick and mortar, if you will. Of course, then there are also food costs, which aren't as much, but those are hard costs as well because we like to make sure everyone gets a taste of everything. Of course, there are also utilities, and then there are also even little bits like aprons and uniforms, that sort of thing, knives, sharpenings, those sorts of things.
Got it. And do you have instructors, like guest instructors, or do you employ people to teach, or do you do the teaching yourself? How does that work?
We have in-house staff instructors, and then we do have instructors that we have visit from time to time. We've actually had people from the UK, from Germany and France, also people from Croatia. So because we do like to bring in a lot of different ethnic backgrounds. We've had a Swedish instructor. So those an Indian instructor. We have what we call a weekend warrior series. We bring in people and they will do many of the specific ethnic cookings from their regions. And many of these are some of those comfort foods that many people have grown up with for years and decades and generations. I call it almost what you might have had at your grandmother's house. And many times these were not vegan ever, but then our instructors have then since converted them to all veganize them, and then they are now then taught in our school.
Cool. So do you find then that you need to, because, obviously, like I say, you've got all those overheads and you've got, the instructors and everything to pay. So do you find that pre-selling helps? So do you only run a course if you've got the minimum number of people to make it viable?
That's right. Absolutely. And we let people know that ahead of time. And so one of the other, I guess, challenges that you mentioned, or we could talk about too, is that people's schedules do change. We do have some people booking out right now. For example, we're starting a new a class next week, and we'll even have some last minute people that will sign up. But we have plenty that are already in the class, so of course we're running that. But then we have people that might sign up, and then some things change in their life, and they might need to postpone when they come. So it could be a personal issue, it could be something in their work life, but we do have to be flexible in that way as well. So even though we do have a roster that might be full, sometimes we've actually had it go down as people have wanted to change and come at a later time.
Right. But do you find you have to balance that out so that you're not left kind of, with less people, fewer people than you need to actually, that must be, a tricky one. With that.
Yeah, it's almost like with, I think with teaching children when you have a larger classroom. If we do have an enormous class, we'll actually have more instructors, or people will offer for people to come at a different time. So it's on both ends. So we don't want to have it to be too small, but we also want to make sure that people still can have a nice low student to teacher ratio. Yes, student. Yes, that's right.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. No, that's good advice. So, and I believe, am I right in thinking you also do, or you have a plant-based consulting business that also runs out of Las Vegas? So you're spending your time between Mallorca and Las Vegas. How does that work, and what are some of the challenges involved in that?
Well, I'm based here in Mallorca, so I had spent about 20 years living in Las Vegas, so I have many contacts, friends, relationships, that sort of thing in Las Vegas. And from time to time, I do help restaurants. Some of them are already plant-based and helping them overhaul their menus. Other times, it's more traditional restaurants that are looking to add more plant-based bits to their menus. I also work with some local catering companies, and a lot of it is remote, so it's not necessarily mostly in person. So we can do a lot of that with the wonderful world of electronics and remote workings.
Oh, fantastic. So as well as having the academy, you've got that different branch of your business as well, which is great. Yeah. Cool. So in terms of staff then, obviously running a business and, particularly running, like you say, a physical academy, there's a lot involved in running a business. So I'm curious, what, if any, expert help do you have or have you used to grow the business, whether that's hiring staff or contractors or professionals?
Well, it's definitely been hiring staff, because we want to make sure that we have a full complement of and breadth of well-qualified staff. We've also utilized some outside marketing consultants, although some of us on staff have some strong backgrounds in that area as well. But we like to outsource and to bring in other folks to do some one-off consulting now and again. Also, I think it's really important that people, when they're in a business, whether it be a new one or an established one, it's really important to maintain and to constantly, not just maintain, but to constantly grow and to increase one's knowledge base. So we're constantly going to professional conferences. I was in Milan last year for the it was 2 years ago now. Gosh, because we're 2017. Ooh, I forgot.
Yeah.
For a fruit and vegetable scheme conference. I go to nutrition conferences, and I think it's really important to interface with folks that because we once again, as I mentioned, we do have a large nutritional component to our school. We talk about the benefits of various elements in cooking and why they're beneficial for the human body, as well as, of course, beneficial for planet Earth. But it's important to keep up on new research and to always weave that in to the daily curriculum, because without that, then that's just, I hate to say it, but growing up, there were so many textbooks that were decades and old, and there was really stale information. And I think it's important to stay current, and to keep, because information is evolving on a weekly basis now, and there's so much more that's coming out. It's really a shame to have all of this fantastic information not utilized.
Fantastic. Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. That's really good advice, actually. So I want to talk to you a little bit about the marketing side of things now. And I know you've already touched on how your academy is different to others, which I love. The fact that it's also, a holiday destination. You've got the nutritional side of it as well, which is great. A lot of marketing gurus nowadays say that businesses should stop thinking about, having competitors, and instead embrace them as collaborators. And maybe do some joint ventures. So what are your thoughts on that? And have you done any such kind of partnerships?
Oh, I love this question. I wish every interviewer would ask me this, because I really do feel as though it's not competition. I agree 100% with the collaboration in the entire sphere, because I believe anybody in the vegan or vegetarian space, that we all are truly on the same team. And some people are really 100% dedicated to only working with vegans and with people who are maintaining 100% vegan or vegetarian lifestyle. Ironically, we have found that only a minority of our students actually are vegans. So,
really?
we were very happy about that, because we, as we say, while we're happy to get information to everyone, we're happy to not always be preaching to the choir, if you will. We're happy to have the pond, the impact in the pond to go out beyond just our own little portion of it. And so I think it's really important that people do work together, as we are constantly having inquiries from traditional restaurants about recipe development, about accessing our ex-students because they are interested in hiring chefs. It's something that we do help with our ex-students. Many of them are looking to either facilitate their CVs and to try new paths in their current careers, or to completely separate and go to this, switch gears and embrace this not only just as a passion or a hobby, but also as a new career. Because we do find many of our students are rebranding themselves. They've come to this point in their lives. We've had ex-lawyers, accountants, people from all walks of life who have then decided that this is their current passion, where they've liked to shift and move into this area.
Fantastic. Can you talk about any strategic partnerships that you've worked with? Because I think when I met Manuel when he was here in Sydney, he was talking about, I think there was a potential collaboration with quite a large equipment manufacturer.
With Fisher and Paykel, yes. So that's something that we're looking at doing, not only in Sydney, but also in New York, because they are obviously, for those who are comfortable in the kitchen, Fisher & Paykel is known as an upmarket brand of dishwashers and many other machinery used in kitchens. And so we are partnering with them. We're in the final stages of the talks there because of their respect within the culinary arena. We're happy to have the opportunity to utilize some of their machines as well, to talk about the benefits of utilizing their products and vice versa.
Okay, so basically it works out that you kind of promote their products and they donate products to you. How does that kind of work? Well, without going into specifics, but just the general.
Right. They have various arenas and showrooms and cooking spaces that are available in in specific places around the world. At this
Ah,
juncture, we're looking at New York as being our first one. That'll be later this year, where we'll actually be doing some demonstrations, some cooking. So we'll be in one of their spaces. So it'll be a joint venture in that respect. Usually,
oh,
yeah,
fantastic.
we do have uh, a program called Global Vegan, where we do leave the wonderful, comfortable space of Mallorca, and we go on the road. So last year I was in Cork, Ireland. I went to Brussels. I did London. We were also in Romania, in Bucharest. So we do go on the road. And so this will be our first potential venue. And typically when we go on the road, we look at commercial spaces that are general cooking spaces. So they're often utilized by a wide variety of different groups. And so this is the first time that we're going to be looking at working with one particular company that represents one specific brand.
Got it. Great. So did you just like contact them and they were just open to it? Like, I'm just curious about whether you have any tips for people who might want to approach another company for a joint venture. Are there any particular things they should take into account when approaching them?
Yes,
Potential.
anytime you want to know a tip, the word is open your mouth and ask. Yes. So while of course the low hanging fruit, people might come and knock on your door or send you an email to your inbox. More often than not, it's going to be utilizing your assertive qualities, mustering those as whether they be natural or if they have to be really, if you have to dig deep and muster those. But it's about making those calls and extending those ideas and throwing it out there and seeing who bites.
Did you have to have anything? Are they looking for something in particular? Did you have to have something particular in place? Like, and I guess obviously some credibility, or do you know what I mean? Like, how? So because they obviously could be approached by loads of people. So I guess it's about how do you kind of make yourself sort of appealing so that they choose you to work with?
Well, we have built in, fortunately for us, Katrina, as a group and as a demographic of vegans, we realize it's becoming more well known on a daily basis that it's good for nutrition, it's good for human health, it's good for the environment. Of course, it's fantastic for the animals. So there is some credibility within the general demographic that we have. Then it's important to play upon that and how to then carve out the niche that you had alluded to earlier. So then it becomes, are you trying to appeal, for example, with Fisher and Paykel, more to the super amateur? Are you looking to help their current business base or help expand what they already have within their current marketing sphere? Because most of these companies that have been more established are more established in the traditional sphere of cooking, if you will. So if they're smart, they're always looking to evolve and looking to grow into new areas. So if they were looking at growing into other areas, I would think that veganism is much more prudent than potentially going off and looking to explore maybe the just solely looking at gluten free. Because while gluten free is an important part of the market, it's a much smaller part of the market. It's much more limited, and dare I say, a large part of gluten free is really gimmicky, trendy. Whereas, I mean, some people truly have a celiac disease. That's 100% different. I don't want to give anybody the impression that gluten free is gimmicky, but in and of itself, gluten free as a movement doesn't have the teeth and tenacity, and to me, the instinct and the embedded credibility of, for example, the plant-based vegan movement.
Got it. So what I'm hearing is that when you're approaching companies like that, you want to highlight the benefits for them
Right.
and what they will get out of doing a joint venture with you, and then followed by boosting your own credibility and showing that you've got a good following and that you can get bums on seats to do your courses.
Yes, very well put. Yes, thank
Oh,
you.
got it. Okay, fantastic. So what about social media? What social media platforms are you most active on in regards to the business, to the academy, and which have you found to be the most successful in terms of raising either your brand awareness or generating sales and leads?
Definitely the go-to is still the elephant in the room, the big behemoth, Facebook. So it's definitely still there, because of, I think, the brand recognition of it, also the wide variety of users. And then we can actually have different groups. We've just recently created a vegan resource network group, so it can be more interactive versus some of the other social media platforms are a little bit more one way, if you will.
Yeah.
The Facebook really seems, because we can advertise not only events, but also we can put on their videos. We also have, we put on our free recipes of the week there. We have wonderful pictures that are integrated when we do use Instagram from time to time. And then because we all are, because there's so much of people that we're a visual world, and so much with social media is visual. And so much with food and creating a desire and creating to whet one's appetite and to create those juices flowing within your mouth and mentally to look at something and to have it look delicious. We want to have them beautiful content. So we do find that pictures are important. So that's where the Instagram comes in a little bit. But I'd still say by and large, we rely mostly on Facebook. And like I said, the interactive piece is really important for us, asking questions. We'll do some surveying on there as well. I think is really important. It's fun to do. It's fun to see what comes out of a result of surveys, and it really keeps us in contact with our customers.
Yeah, for sure. I've heard that Facebook groups are becoming quite popular because exactly for those benefits, like you said, people ask questions and then you can find out what type of courses they want or what type of products and services they want. So I'm glad that you raised that. That's fantastic. So on the subject of media, I understand you've got a weekly vegan column in a mainstream daily newspaper, the Mallorca Daily Bulletin, I believe it's called. How did that come about?
Yes. In fact, I'm very proud of that. In fact, it's on. It's on hiatus right now. But I started that. Oh gosh, about 3 years ago now. And in fact, it's the first vegan column in mainstream media. So it's a daily paper. But my column was weekly, and I met with the editor. And I was interested actually in doing a one-off piece. And when throughout the course of speaking with him and talking about the benefits and why I thought it would have a wide audience appeal, not only to mothers, but also to children and retirees, because we do have a good chunk of retirees here. And he said, well, just dandy. And he said, well, let's do this, but can we do this recurringly? And I said, of course. So it was his idea to do it recurringly, and it became very popular. And I'm happy to say that I even had some groupies.
Oh, you're doing it right when you've got groupies for your column.
Yeah, that was
fantastic.
Fun. That was fun.
So what benefits to your business have you experienced from having the column?
Well, it's truly been fun for me to access and get to some different places. When I was writing the column, I would also do some reviewing of restaurants, and that opened some more doors for me, and that got me to. It was much easier for me to do some interviewing when I was doing it for a professional purpose versus just my own edification.
Got it. Okay. So were you able to bring people, I guess, to the website at the time you were doing Mallorca vegan website? Did it help to sort of get traffic to the website?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Cool. So let's talk a little bit about in terms of aspiring or people who they're doing their day job, they're doing perhaps their 9 to 5, and they want to start their own business. Like you say, you've already got people like the people that actually come to you. Like you said, you've had accountants and lawyers coming to do your courses and then wanting to have this whole new career direction in their life. But perhaps they've never run their own business before. They've done the 9 to 5. What tips or advice can you offer them before they make that leap from employment to self-employed?
I think people need to be as purely honest with themselves as they can be. Because as you know, I believe it's really important to have the self-discipline. Because if you don't have a job show up, if you don't have to be someplace at 9 o'clock, if there's no employer waiting for you, it's really easy just to procrastinate and to put off something and do it tomorrow or the next day or the next day. So I think time management and self-discipline are huge components that people need to be honest with themselves if they have that ability to be self-motivators. There's also, of course, the financial component. Do they have a little bit of a cushion? Have they saved up enough money to go X number of weeks or months before a more recurring, consistent revenue stream is coming in? Depending upon the business, it could even be years. So, and we do go into some of this with our students because so many people have these same questions, Katrina. And we talk about the cycles, because it will make a difference if you're looking to consult versus opening up a juice bar or a full-blown restaurant in terms of these cycles and in terms of recouping. Also, there are different investment costs, of course. There also are licensing requirements that need to be addressed. And really, I think, again, it's about being honest with oneself. And could you look at really wearing many more hats? Because if somebody is an accountant, he or she probably wears just one or two hats in his or her day-to-day job. But it doesn't necessarily require as much diversification and as much multitasking as it does to be a business owner or self-employed.
Yeah, that's a really good point, actually. And you've touched on that in terms of the finances and situations. Obviously, every business has got startup costs and maintenance costs. So can you talk about perhaps some of the methods you've used, perhaps even over the years with your various businesses, and what are the pros and cons of those?
Well, definitely the cons are that nothing is guaranteed. So, and that's people's biggest challenges. I mean, years ago, also I had worked within the mortgage industry. I also worked as a recruiter, and it really was glaring to me that people really seem to be cut from one of two versions of cloth. They either really like and enjoy the security of that paycheck on whichever frequency it comes, versus they're comfortable in being their own boss and they have maybe just a different type of fortitude where they can realize that they could potentially make a lot more money, but they'll have to weather potentially some dry spells because of the various selling cycles and or startups of the business. So I think that's really important to look at. Not only, number one, do you have the financial resources to go for X period of time without earning any money? And B, how does that fit within your own self in terms of your own philosophy? And some people are fine with it, and other people are constantly sick to their stomachs. And I hate to say it, but it really seems like it's not the right choice for them. So I think it goes back to even my answer to the previous question about being really honest with yourself and maybe evaluating whether or not you could potentially do something if you're not okay with being a sole proprietor, potentially forming a partnership with somebody. And if you can then become a partner with somebody. If you have some holes in your particular skill set, if you found somebody who had complementary strengths, then you would potentially feel more confident in making that leap to being a business owner.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, actually. And I think often some of the most successful businesses can be set up in partnership where you've got, like you said, that person who loves that security and is, kind of very kind of small chunk in a way. And then you've got the more entrepreneurial, adventurous type, and they kind of balance one another out in some ways. That can work. Yeah, that's cool. Thank you. So obviously, then we've touched on, some of the qualities that I think you've already answered about that you need to run a business. Are there any particular steps or strategies or things that you do or that you use now to kind of ensure that you have a strong mental and emotional well-being as a business owner? Because it can be, quite stressful running your own business. So anything you particularly do, whether it's meditation or, I don't know, some kind of sport or anything that you'd like to share on that front?
Spend as much time in nature with animals.
Okay.
Yeah, I think, I do. I don't meditate as much as it would be good for me, but I end up walking my dog Bruno. I love to spend time in nature. I'm more of a water person, so as much as I can be out along the beach and along the water, that helps me. But there have been so many studies where they've shown that even just people, watching fish or just being in the company of animals. I mean, it is funny, but I truly mean it. Get a cat, get a dog, borrow a dog, go walk, go to a shelter and go walk a dog. It's truly, and if you can't do that, maybe watch some really cute little animal videos to reduce one's stress. I think is really important.
It's so true, actually, isn't it? I know people laugh about that and say, "Oh, internet cat videos," but they do. You just kind of can't help yourself. You're sitting in the computer. Like I know I spend a lot of time online, and if I can't actually physically go out at a time, even just like spending 2 minutes watching some kind of funny cat video, you can't help but smile.
That's right.
I think it's important for business owners to hear that, and it's important for me to hear it too as well, is that when you are busy and you're kind of doing everything, it is important to take that time out just to do something, to have that break, and it helps you to be more efficient.
Right. I know years ago when I was working with the seniors, I interfaced with a very well-respected leading gerontologist, and he used to pull out his prescription pad, and I'll never forget this. He would write down laugh every day on his prescription pad, and he would give it to all of his patients because
I love that.
Yeah, because we look at it. Actually, we know meditation is good. We talk about breathing, but with laughing, we're utilizing our full bellies, and it's good respiration, and it's fantastic for reducing stress, and it's fun, and it's fantastic, and. I look at all these, I like to watch movies, and it seems like all these movies come, Katrina, with all these heavy topics. It's about, they're important that we look at, for example, slavery and domestic violence, but there are all these movies that are so heavy. And I thought, sometimes when I just want to disconnect, I thought, give me a good old comedy.
Yeah.
And so people, in fact, this doctor even recommended getting a laugh buddy. So that means that you get somebody with whom on a daily on it's your schedule, whether it be weekly, daily, monthly, that you and that person contact one another, and you make one another laugh. And
that's so cool.
It's your job to make him or her laugh, and vice versa. And so
that's so cool. I love that. Yeah. I've never heard of that before. That is really fabulous. I love
talk
that.
About your workout buddy or your diet buddy, and they talk about accountability. But this is accountability. Isn't it strange? We always think about accountability of like making each other do something that we don't really want to do.
Yes.
And no, I don't think I've never ever met anybody who said, "I don't want to laugh," but we don't weave it into our daily lives because it's not that. Oh, that I don't have to get my 10,000 steps, or I don't have to get my, drink all my water, or, get all these things ticked off my list. But really, if you make it a priority, it can be fun, but it's so easy to fall off by the wayside if we don't put it in our diary.
Gosh, I don't know if it's a movement. It sounds like it should already be like a movement and a trend, like laughter buddies. I like that.
I know, yeah.
Maybe there's a business There's a business idea in
there
that.
you go. Hopefully some of your listeners can take it and run with it. That'd be great.
Awesome. So look, final question then, Stephanie, what's your long-term vision, both for yourself and for the Academy?
Well, originally my goal was to make Mallorca the vegan holiday destination in the world. I think we're well on our way of doing that. And ultimately, I would love to have our vegan gastronomy known as, dare I say, a household name. You know, that this is something that we could be looked at as the go-to place, not only for as we mentioned earlier, the holiday making and enjoying a new place of the planet, but also for learning about Mediterranean food here in the Mediterranean, and with a specific, of course, vegan target base.
Fantastic. It's exciting. I'm very excited to hear about it. And it sounds absolutely amazing. So you've shared some wonderful tips and strategies that'll be, definitely of help to people in running their various different businesses. So it's been absolutely great speaking with you, Stephanie. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
So that was Stephanie Prather from Vegan Gastronomy. You can find out more at vegangastronomy.com. And that link is on the show notes page at veganbusinessmedia.com/podcasts and going to episode 57. Now for our vegan business news roundup. The vegan butcher shop trend is catching on. Canada is set to see a plant-based butcher shop open later this month, reports Veg News. The Very Good Butchers in Victoria, British Columbia, is the brainchild of James Davison and Tanya Friesen, who met while working at a vegetarian eatery in Vancouver. After their success selling vegan and organic products at farmers markets last year, the duo teamed up with marketing specialist Mitchell Scott to open the store. Organic bean and grain-based meats made at a small facility on Denman Island are among the offerings, and the company will also supply local BC restaurants and health food stores. Davison and Friesen plan to open another store in Vancouver, as well as sell their products online. It's great to see more vegan butcher shops open. I love the way we're claiming and subverting the word butcher. If you remember last week, I reported that Time Money had cited vegan butcher as a top job trend in 2017, and this news certainly backs that up. Fantastic. Vegan food launches grew by 92% in Australia between 2014 and 2016, according to a report by global research firm Mintel. As many as 1 in 8, or 12%, food products launched in Australia in 2016 carried a vegetarian claim, while 6% held a vegan claim. This huge increase in vegetarian and vegan-friendly food launches coincides with Australian consumers' growing appetite for meat-free foods. 1 in 7 people, or 14%, said that they avoided or intended to avoid red meat in 2016. Laura Jones, trend and innovation consultant at Mintel, said, although Australia is still one of the largest meat-eating populations globally, health and environmental concerns, along with costs, have changed Australians' attitudes when it comes to meat consumption. Australians have become more mindful in recent years of the amount of meat and the frequency of which they eat meat. Well, this is excellent news. Finally, people are starting to acknowledge that meat is bad for people, animals and planet. And with all the fantastic and innovative plant-based alternatives coming onto the market, it's easier and easier now for consumers to make the switch. The US's first dedicated all-plant-based food hall is coming to New York in early 2019. Home Food Hall is currently seeking 15 or more vendors to take part in the initiative, which is spearheaded by Veganizer NYC founder Kiki Adami and the founders of vegan confectioners Rescue Chocolate, Michael Muller, Otis Duffy and Sarah Gross. According to the company's website, along with delicious, compassionate and sustainable foods, there'll also be a boutique fitness space hosting classes including yoga, Pilates, dance, meditation, kickboxing and more. The space, which is located in Midtown East, is versatile enough to also hold events such as private film screenings, book launches and after parties. To apply to become a vendor, fill out the application form at homefoodhall.com. Finally, musician supplies company D'Addario Accessories has released a range of vegan guitar picks and straps with a Beatles theme, reports Veg News. The company used a leather alternative to recognise legendary Beatles guitarist Paul McCartney's belief and dedication to animal rights. The straps feature designs of iconic images from album covers, including Meet the Beatles, Revolver, Yellow Submarine and Sgt. Pepper. The picks contain similar imagery and are available in collectible tins. Now, I think this is important because it shows companies are becoming more aware of the need to offer vegan lines or options. And of course, the more popular they are, the more likely the companies are to consider adopting these for other items. And as I've mentioned before, and I also teach in my PR training, it's a clever move to create products that are aligned with a celebrity. I've reported on makeup brands bringing out ranges dedicated to TV shows, for example. Now, in the music company's case, of course, they'd have to get permission to use the album's imagery and Beatles logos, so make sure you don't breach any copyright laws. But it's a strategy that's worth considering as it can get you media coverage and it also opens your products up to fans of the celebrity. And of course, there's the chance that the celebrity may even tweet about it, which of course can result in lots and lots of sales. So that's it for this episode of Vegan Business Talk. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed the show, I'd really appreciate it if you gave it a review and rating on iTunes or any other platform you're listening on. Finally, I encourage you to head over to veganbusinessmedia.com, where you can find more resources, including details of my media and PR consultations, copywriting, editing and proofreading services to help you grow your vegan business. I'm Katrina Fox, author of Vegan Ventures, Start and Grow an Ethical Business, and I look forward to catching up with you in the next episode of Vegan Business Talk. Bye for now.